Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Open eCry market commentary for the week of May 7th. My name is Toby Gennaro, and just taking a look at some of the U.S. indices. We'll look at the ES first, and then we'll take a look at the YM and see what some of these charts are telling us in terms of giving us some idea of future direction for the week. And on the ES, we'll just start out by looking at the weekly chart, and we've had this level in here for quite some time, right at that 1340 level, and have a series of touches there. Just got a most recent touch yesterday evening, and we got a bounce right off of that 1340 level. A couple of weeks ago, we had that most recent pullback. Didn't get quite down to that level. We bounced right at the 1350 level, right around there, and then put in a higher low up around 1411, and then we just came straight back down, and then just right now we're just currently bouncing off of that 1340 level. And we're right in amongst the 10 and 20 period moving average, which is obviously a bullish sign with this price action trend and then all the moving averages in alignment. We've got the 200, the 50, the 20, and the 10. And whenever we get price pulling back in and around the 10 and 20 period moving average, we're looking for a bullish candle setting up, and we're looking for that price then to go higher. So we're not going to have this bullish candle close out on the weekly chart till the end of the week. So we can go down, just knowing that it's in the range, the price range, we can go down to some of the lower time frames and see if those charts tell us anything or give us any inkling as to the direction of future price for the week. So as we move down to the daily chart, we can start to look and see that price is still extended down from the moving averages. So if we're getting a bounce here off of this 1340 level, we'll probably get a bounce somewhere back into the moving averages, at least around the 1380 level. And as we start to move down to the 480 chart, we can even put in a Fibonacci retracement level right here just to get an idea of some potential points of resistance if folks are going to be shorting this market and trying to push it lower. We have the 50 and the 62% level. That couples pretty well with that 1386 price resistance level right here. So you might see some selling pressure there as price begins to move higher. Overall, I think we're going to be bullish on this market, looking for price to get back up into this 1400 range. But these are just some of the levels that you want to be aware at, where there may be some consolidations or maybe some pullbacks, and then you can look for some setup opportunities. On the 240-minute chart, we can look at another level right about here that gives us a pretty good idea that the current price level right around 1369, 1370 has pulled right back in and amongst that 50, 62% level. So price has stopped. There's a pivot level there as well. We might see a little bit of a consolidation or a pullback here. We are right in that sell zone. We have the moving averages rolled over, the 10 and the 20 and the 50 are in alignment. So if we start to see a bearish setup candle right here, keep an eye out for the market potentially to go back and retest this 1340 level. If it does that, then we can start to look for a reversal pattern setting up here, and then look for some divergence on your intermediate time frames, and then look potentially for a push back up to then retest some of these levels up here at the 1400 level. So that's kind of what the ES looks like. There's some levels there to be aware of. Let's take a look at the YM and see what things look like and how it might be the same or different. And starting again at the higher time from the weekly chart, a little different scenario here. We've got a similar support level here at this 12,560 level, and we haven't gotten there yet. The last week pulled back right to about that 650 level, and that happened twice here and here over the last several months. But in the most recent pullback, unlike the S&P, we pulled back short, actually well short of that level by almost about 200 points, or at least 100 points. And so, but once again, same as the ES, we're back within that 10-20 period moving average range, back in that buy zone. It looks like we're getting a candle there setting up, but it's got another 4 days until it closes out, and then we'd look for actually the break of the high of that candle. So again, we're in the buy zone, but let's go down and take a look at some of the lower time frames and see what's setting up. Moving averages are looks like they're getting back into alignment to the upside, and it looks like we have some higher, basically just pulled back to that 780 level, so it didn't even break to get in a lower low. but very bullish candle, rejection candle setting up here, looking like it wants to push higher. As we move down to the 480 candle, we still have some overextension down from the moving averages, so there's still an opportunity here for a rebound and a bounce back in to the moving averages, at least the sell zone in and around the 10 and 20 period moving average. If we get some sellers back into the market, more than likely this is where it'll occur. So you'll want to start to look at some levels like 1370, upwards up around something like 13150. And if you start to see a bearish setup candle, then start to look for some potential sellers to come in and push the market lower. But overall, if we put in a Fibonacci retracement and do some of the same thing, we can take a look at some different levels here that we can be aware of as the market continues to push higher. That 62% level couples very nicely with that 1350, 1360 level. So there could be some consolidation points right there. Might be an opportunity to buy a pullback and get long. So keep a lookout on some of those levels. The one level here to take a look at is this one right here. And the market current price action is already at that level. So we pulled right back into that 62% level. We've got a little resistance point right along there at it's looking at about 1320. So and right now we're currently right at that 50% retracement level, right at 12975. So keep an eye out for that level. We might get a little consolidation here. If we start to get a bearish candle set up in and around that sell zone, then you can potentially look for a market pullback, maybe a 50% retracement, maybe a pullback to retest the low, and we'll get a reversal structure in here to potentially move higher. But overall, we're thinking bullish on the markets, simply looking at these higher time frames and looking for the markets to push higher after this pullback. And taking a look at the pound dollar, just some foreign currencies here. Looking at the weekly chart, we have some levels coming into play right here at 161, basically the 161 level, and we have just a pullback here ever so slightly on the weekly chart. But as we look at the daily chart, it's a little bit more of a deeper pullback right back into that moving average zone in and around the 10 and 20 period. We're getting a bullish candle setting up right here on the daily, so what we want to see is a closeout for today of a bullish candle there, and then look tomorrow for a break of that high, which is going to be the high of that candle is 161.9, so just a break of that right around 162, and it looks like we'd be back off to the races, back up to the high here of 163. So an opportunity to get long here after the break of this candle tomorrow to see what that looks like. If we get a new break to the low side, it's going to invalidate that trade. So that's one thing to keep a look at. And then going down to some of the lower time frames, we can see even a deeper pullback. But we certainly get a sense of all of the moving averages in alignment to the upside. We're just getting a pullback here on a number of different time frames. But everything is looking very strong, including the daily chart where we have the 50, the 20, and the 10 all in alignment, moving to the upside. Higher highs, higher lows. Looks like very predictable price action to continue the trend higher. And looking at one final currency pair here on the dollar yen, we'll walk through some of the similar time frames. The first thing that's going to catch my eye here is this level right here at 79.6 on the dollar yen. We just got to pull back off of that high at around 84. Looks like about a 50% pullback. We can get a Fibonacci retracement in here to take a look at that. And so it looks like we're getting a pullback right back into that 62% level. Right, so right back into that 796 level. And then we're looking at on the daily chart, just got a sell-off, had a rally right back into the sell zone in the 10 and 20 period, got a pullback off of that, and it looks like we're setting up a little reversal structure down here. If this 79.6 level holds, we've got some divergence setting up on both the indicators, the MACD and the RSI, which means that as price comes down and retests the low, or pushes slightly lower, that the indicators are doing the opposite. They're actually putting in a higher low. And so we can see that a little better on the 240-minute chart, that that retesting pattern right there, and then we actually have the divergence on the indicators with that higher low on both the MACD and the RSI. So coupled with some of the divergence on these indicators tells us that the downtrend is weakening and there's a potential for it to reverse. And so what we'd be looking for is a break on a reversal from this level, a break above this high here of 80.60, and then we'd be looking to mirror basically the width of this consolidation to the upside, which would take us back up into this resistance level of around 81.70. So that would be the setup in conjunction with the 480 and the 240 charts and that divergence and the reversal pattern, and then with this pullback structure into that 62% level, into that solid support level of 79.6. We'd be looking for a bounce off that level. And in this pullback, we're pulling back then right into that 10 and 20 period moving average buy zone on the weekly chart. Okay, so we have a combination of intermediate time frames and longer time frames confirming the same potential move higher, and that would be the outlook for the dollar yen. So a couple currencies there for you and an outlook on the U.S. indices. Hope that helps, and we'll look to speak with you next week on the market commentary again.